So when your partner or a loved one says, why aren't you more emotionally present? There's your answer, right? Because you haven't looked to the parts of yourself that you rejected and pushed away into shadow for the approval of others. If you often experience the question, why aren't you more present? Why aren't you more emotionally present? Why don't you tell me how you're feeling? As a man, then the chances are that you struggled as a boy, as a teenager, as a young man, to express what you're feeling, right? You likely were not validated in the truth of what you were feeling. This is so common for us men, right? It's why we see so many men taking their own lives, or so many men struggling with depression, because they were not held in their truth. We were ridiculed for having so-called difficult emotions. Sadness, for example. Sadness wasn't an emotion that I certainly wasn't championed in my sadness by groups of boys and teenagers. Were you? I mean, I'd love to hear from you if you were, because I think that would be a very rare experience, right? And so we pushed our sadness down. We pushed it into shadow. We rejected that authentic part of ourselves that experienced sadness. We believed it was unacceptable, and in order for me to be acceptable, I have to move myself to what you believe is acceptable, right? And so our authenticity is squashed. The same goes with anger. The same goes with all other so-called unacceptable emotions, or emotions that others found hard to hold us in, right? So the healthy outward expression of certain emotions, a healthy emotional presence of any emotion, requires the understanding of one's own emotional patterns that existed largely in childhood throughout your developmental process, right? And throughout your teenage years, to get to grips with those parts of yourself that you buried. So when your partner or a loved one says, why aren't you more emotionally present? There's your answer, right? Because you haven't looked to the parts of yourself that you rejected and pushed away into shadow for the approval of others. Therein lies your work. Can you find enough love for yourself to step into that work? Oh yes, the work is arduous. It can be very, very draining, but what lies upon the other side in a greater emotional presence, the capacity to fully be in whatever emotion you're experiencing in a healthy, contained way, and I really want to say that, contained, to learn to contain whatever emotion it is, to become more resilient in the feeling of that emotion, in the communication of that emotion, to be able to honor it as it comes, or if we have to compartmentalize it, to bring it in and feel it when it's necessary, not to avoid, right? Because in those messages we received as boys, the message was, don't feel, avoid, push it down. And so we've got to change those neural pathways within our mind, those belief systems that say these are emotions are unacceptable. We actually have to call them in. And that's going to be very hard to do on your own if you haven't received that conditioning as a child, right? We need to recondition, to invite that in. And we need others, strong individuals who've already been down that process to hold us in that space. So when you receive that criticism or comment that you're just not emotionally present, I want you to try and find some compassion for yourself in understanding the why of that. And then I want you to maybe sit down and introspect. Now, I want you to sit down and introspect upon that to ask yourself, well, why is it I struggle with emotion? See what comes up for you. If you're struggling to find answers, reach out to a professional to help you to find some of those answers, to help you become more present to what you were not present with before. And it's not your fault that you weren't present to it before. That's just the nature of the environment you're in. But you can change that, and you are no longer, once you step into action and ask for the help that you need, well, we know that asking for help can really be difficult for men, but if you can initially get over that first ledge to ask for help, then change can start to come in, and you can start to reteach those belief systems within yourself that feeling, there is nothing wrong in feeling. Your emotions are welcome, and we need to feel safety in order to start that process. We need to feel the safety of another. You really can only get so far on your own with this. And for myself, as I come to the next juncture, the next layer of the onion, however you want to put it, for me, the next layer of the trauma, really, the next deeper connection to the wounds of my somatic body, the healing of my nervous system. As you become more into that, you can commence to come home. And that's what we're really talking about here, right? Emotional presence is being able to clearly communicate what you're feeling in a healthy way from home, from your body, because emotion's in the body. And so we have to feel it, honor it, feel it, whatever is in the now, but feel what was ever not felt then in the now, to then be able to find the words to express it in a healthy way. And so you're really teaching your nervous system to be safe in that emotion. The beliefs that they handed you, that emotion is unacceptable, were not truth. You get to redefine your truth. And as you get to redefine your truth, you become more emotionally present for yourself and the ones that you love. And so when that question comes to you, which says, well, why aren't you more emotionally present? You can begin to answer that. And therefore, in answering that, you start to build more emotional presence. And your partner holds space for you, and you hold space for them, and then you grow together. And your partner, your loved ones, your friends will support you in that growth, and you'll support them. And we all become more emotionally present together, right? And we all heal together. We all heal. We all get to heal the trauma of generations past and come together in a greater union of love, a greater union of emotional presence. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, save, send to someone, male or female, that you think may benefit from it, and let me know in the comments what you'd like to see more of. Sending so much love.